Welcome to the Fandemic Presents Pre-Venge of the Nerds. This is episode 33 and a half, I guess.
There we go.
We are your one-stop podcast. Every week, we are going to give you all the things to level up your awesome. For starters, we will give you the war report, which we did a couple days ago. That's right, the What's Awesome report. You heard it here. Next, we're going to move into Pre-Venge of the Nerds. All right, this is about the stories that could have led to your favorite movies, TV shows, and so much more. It might be a list, it might be a pitch. One thing for sure, your awesome will be leveled due to this. And if you buy my book, Leveling Up My Awesome. Then
Plug.
thank you. Oh, there will be many, many more.
Plug. Shameless plug.
Then typically we would go into our verse mode, but something big kind of happened in the realm of nerdom with this Warner Brothers Discovery Plus. There's some goods, maybe not so many goods, but there are a lot of things happen that I feel like we need to talk about, and that's going to replace the verse mode today. Brian, how are you, sir?
I am golden, sir. I cannot wait to level up some awesomeness. And you know what? Maybe we even get a little mischievous here yet
Ooh.
today.
So, Brian, did you hear that there's a new competitive sport in the world of camping?
Really? What
Yes.
is this sport called?
Well, it's just intense.
Wow. You know what? Normally I love me a good dad joke, but that one hurt. You're my brother from another mother. You're my tag team partner. But bro, I mean, we're trying to be the Legion of Doom here. You just may have made us the Bolsheviks. Like you took us down a couple notches. Okay, we might be the ding dongs at this point. Like that one hurt. That one hurt. But
I always saw myself as a bushwhacker. I mean,
okay, you can be Luke. I'll be Butch. I have no. Wow, did you love that I can still name them? Okay, yes. So for those folks that don't know, listen, when you watch wrestling as a kid, it'll never leave your head. It will never leave your head. Absolutely.
And as it shouldn't, because those were my favorite days of wrestling anyway.
Yes. By the way, Vince McMahon, now that you're unemployed, if you're looking for something to do, we welcome you to come on the podcast. You can be our third member.
Yeah, you can level up your awesome, just like leveling up my awesome is now available on Amazon.
But unfortunately, Vince, we do not have paralegals. Hey-o!
Oh, good job, sir.
I feel like this is going to be an ongoing thing. Please don't sue us.
We love you. Everything that you've done.
Yes.
Oh, buddy. So, has anything...
Wait, everything he's done?
Ooh.
Okay, see, I think your unintentional shade was worse than my intentional shade. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to make like a shade-o-meter, I think, for some of these.
Oh, you know what?
Yes.
I think I can do that.
We're going to track the shade. Track the shade. Okay.
So, I finally finished Sandman.
Beautiful.
And we were talking about it a little bit. We're not going to get into it because I think we need to put a whole episode towards the Sandman because the awesome on that show was a lot.
That was. You know what? For a show that no one should be sleeping on, it is the Sandman. Or as I now called it, Sandman, making the Cure look cool.
Ooh. And that is honest advertising brought to you by Brian S. Dennis.
The Sandman is what the Cure wish they look like.
Right.
No, have the inspiration.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe that is the Cure's dream.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I will say, because it's similar to with the Never-Ending Story, like should the movie ever end it? Since the movie, and we'll talk more about again Sandman, but since it did take place in the Endless, should it have stopped at 10 episodes?
I don't think so.
I feel like
there's definitely more.
I feel like the actors and actresses should just have to film forever. Like, yeah.
Agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is proof again. There is great power in writing. But by the way, Neil Gaiman, folks at Netflix. Before we dive deep into this at a future show, if you can work in some way to get Keanu Reeves just for like a 2-second cameo,
Yeah.
that would be great. Okay, the only question about Sandman that I do want to ask, I'll forget before we record again, is which version of Maze do you prefer? Sandman version
Oh,
or Lucifer version?
dude, that is an unfair question. However, I will take the Sandman version
That
over
is your
the.
favorite Mazikeen?
Yeah, man, she just looked amazing. Now the Mazikeen from the Lucifer show, she was as good as
Hmm.
she could be.
Hmm.
However, man, with that face, the face scar and everything,
Yeah,
dude.
completely different. It definitely more true to the comic version
Yeah,
in the or graphic novel version in
yeah.
this. But and did you spot, since I know we're getting ready for House of Dragons, did you catch the Game of Thrones reference in Hell?
No.
The
Where was
person that played Lucifer also played
Brianna
Lady.
Tarth?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That
So
was my yes.
funny thing about that is that wife and I are rewatching all of Game
Right,
of Thrones,
right.
and we actually just got to the episode that introduces Brianna Tarth
Okay.
just last night.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so it was like perfect.
Yes.
However, my wife has not watched Sandman.
Okay.
She will. She absolutely will.
I love the fact. Have you ran this by her?
Not yet, not yet. So, honey,
Yes.
I mean, if you really don't
Yeah.
want to, that's fine. But I
Yep.
really think you'll like it.
Yes. And also another thing, another honest in advertising. Sandman, how you can do quality shows without Herogasm.
I was speechless, man. Very, very good because it's 100% true. Holy cow, that show was amazing.
I will never buy a leather jacket again.
Right? Oh, buddy. All right. Well, let's
Okay.
talk. What are we talking about, and why are we talking about it?
All right. So I was contacted from one of our listeners who states that they and their daughter absolutely listen to the podcast pretty weekly. And we got a request from my kid actually asking us to revisit the show and the character of Loki. So we have a listener out there by the name of Odin. Legitimately, real name is Odin. Which we will have to absolutely give some love to with this.
Absolutely.
But Ashley is a huge Loki is their favorite character from the Marvel Universe. Love the show, love the movies, and just goes, can you fellas talk a little bit about the show? Which obviously the show we got to be getting close to season 2 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll revisit the show, but also just talk larger about the character because the character obviously had a large life, like has always been alive, kind of
Lives, I guess.
lives, yes. So we'll definitely talk more about it from the lens of the MCU, but we might talk about some comic stuff. But Loki's also, I think, for most people, when you look at the quote unquote villains, if you're gonna go there with him, I think he's most MCU fan character's favorite quote unquote bad guy. Tom Hiddleston gets a lot of love from a lot of people. I just wish I had his voice for one day. Just wish I could, like he could go and order Taco Bell and just make it sound smooth. Which that again is honest advertising by Brian S. Dennis. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna dive a little bit into Loki the show, look at the character, and then, as you said, we're gonna wrap things up by talking about the Warner Brothers DC merger, or some people call it comic apocalypse. Did you like that, sir?
I love that, and that's a pretty accurate, man. I have some thoughts on that, but now let's get right back into that Loki. Let's talk about it before the show. So,
Sure.
What happened to lead into the show, Loki season 1, which is probably one of the best series. I wouldn't
Yes.
say it's my favorite,
Right.
but I mean it's definitely up there. It's probably my top.
It's held up. I've revisited a few times, and it's held up again. And really looking at being shows, and again, it kind of was with the phases really started. It really was that, along with obviously WandaVision. They were the first two Disney Plus series, so they were the ones that really took the things that happened in the movie franchise, especially the aftermath of Endgame, and showed, from a couple different ways of how the resolution of again Endgame, how that affected the MCU. And now we're seeing where we saw characters and storylines launch in the movies and land in the series. Now we're seeing the network launching storylines that are going to really sound like they're going to continue and wrap up in the movie. So again,
Yeah.
Disney Plus got to give you credit for doing that seamless transition. So yes, so we start off with Loki and actually hanging out with his what he originally thought was his brother Thor in the movie. Dun, 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 Thor, right?
What?
Or
Really?
yes, well, or if the movie is renamed by one Tony Stark, Point Break.
Oh, did you hear that they're redoing Roadhouse with Jake
I,
Gyllenhaal for
I
Amazon?
have, but I'm half fingers crossed for a Point Break remake with Chris Hemsworth. Like we need that.
Yeah.
I mean, R.I.P. to Patrick Swayze. I think Keanu. By the way, Keanu, after that latest Matrix movie, you owe us. You
Agree.
owe your fans a new Point Break.
I either want that, or I want Keanu Reeves to be a new Shaggy in an updated Scooby Doo action movie.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Row. I mean, come on, he's got. I mean, John Wick is partly Scooby Doo, right? I mean,
Or they could do. How about this one? Oh God, we have again tangent. A John Wick inspired a Scooby Doo episode where something happens to Scoob, and
oh,
see Shaggy go full on dark. You
or maybe what happens is that Shaggy's really good friend Velma, her show gets canceled from WB, and so
Yes.
he goes they go on a rampage and they just kill everybody.
Yes, that's what Shaggy finds out what Daphne, Velma, and Fred were really doing when him and Scoob were out running around from old Cutler's ghost. That's what
Yeah,
happens. Like, wait a minute, Fred, really,
both,
really,
yeah,
dude, really.
yeah.
Okay, all right, sir. Okay, so
Row.
again, all right. So usually we keep our content family. But I do gotta ask you this. Okay, so growing up, most little boys, we had to pick Velma or Daphne. Who were you?
Daphne. It was a redhead, man. I
Velma,
mean,
Velma the
dude.
nerdy. It was the bookish thing.
Row.
Yeah,
Rooey dooey doo.
yeah.
Rookie for you.
Yeah, my fan fiction had Jinkies being used in a whole other context. All right. Okay, so now moving us back to Loki. All right.
Which Velma is actually also Hawkeye's wife. So there we
Yes.
go. We just brought it back to Marvel.
Or Mockingbird, right? Agent 42, right? Yes.
Yes. I still want to see that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they've got to. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, they took so much, and I'm glad to see them do it again. Another tangent. We'll get back to Loki. They took so much of the dynamic between Hawkeye and Mockingbird and put that into Hawkeye and Black Widow. That I like the fact that they are kind of going back and bringing her in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get some fight scenes, and yeah. Now I kind of go. They talk about that one meme you see in Endgame. Well, after Endgame, when Wong goes, "What do you want more?" and you see all the defenders kind of like just standing around like, "What about us?"
Right.
Like, and we could have used Luke Cage. We could have used everybody but Iron Fist. But I'm like, well, where was Agent 42? Was she just hanging out with? I mean, she got brought back. She called Hawkeye. Like at that point, it would have been like, hey, suit up, get here as quick as you can.
Right.
All right.
Kids will be fine. They're just been gone for 5 years.
Yes. My one call BS moment in Endgame, and we'll get to Loki, is if you see that scene where Thanos' ship shoots at the compound, how does Ant-Man survive that? I get how the others were further back. You could say, they didn't get the full blast, but come on. Ant-Man, that's it. Even if he did not shrink, he did not have time. That was a full-on. And by the way, if he shrunk, then the blast of mass is still mass, right?
Mhm.
So he still would have, so that's the only BS I'll call is Ant-Man should have went the way of well, an ant. And
Well,
yeah,
I have an answer for you, Brian.
I would love to see you talking out of this one. What do you got?
The answer is because that's the way it was written in the script.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And I have I have a better one than that. If Paul Rudd dies, we riot.
I mean, I think that Paul Rudd, if he dies, don't we all die? I mean, he has like the secret to like
I think Paul
youth
Rudd
and
is an Infinity Stone.
I think so.
Like he may be the Time Stone.
Right.
He really may be. I
Yeah.
think Paul Rudd is the ancient one.
Ooh, I
You
like
know,
that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I think forget old chick from Narnia. I think that really is. I really think Paul Rudd is the
Uh,
ancient one. All right.
I like it.
Okay, Loki. Okay, so
Mhm.
back to the original Thor, where we see the interest of Thor, and at that point in time, Loki, Odin's son,
Mhm.
they live in Asgard. They're out there defending the Nine Realms and just doing the bromance along the way. So they plunder, they pillage, they hang with the maidens, they get drunk, and they just have a jolly good time of it all until, like every good family drama, we realize that your daddy is not your real daddy. All right.
Next time on Maury.
In this case of 15,000-year-old Loki Odin's son, Odin. I can't think of Odin's real name, and I can't think of Odin's last name. And darn it, Odin. Wednesday, you are not the father. Okay, so Bradley, who is your favorite Odin? Is it Anthony Hopkins or Ian McShane?
Um, Anthony Hopkins, Ian McShane. I like him better as the bad guy.
But he
Right?
wasn't that good as Odin. Come on, he
Well,
wasn't that nice.
yeah, but man, I mean, like, I like when I think of Ian McShane, I think of Deadwood, and I think
Sure.
of John Wick,
Hmm.
and I just like yeah, that's where my brain goes, and maybe because like my brain is just is more familiar with Anthony Hopkins
Sure,
portrait.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yes, what about you, sir?
I like Sir Anthony Hopkins definitely. I had a lot of hope for American Gods. Great first season. I don't know what happened. Season two, it just fell flat. It just didn't connect as well. What this might be one of those shows I also will revisit at some point.
Hmm.
But yeah, just but that. So anyway, back to Odin, and of course, well, my favorite Odin is our listener Odin, who asked us to talk a bit about Loki. All right.
So, wouldn't your favorite Odin shouldn't that be your friend Odin?
Yes, yes, I do.
Odin, you are my
Yes,
favorite Odin.
yes,
Odin,
Odin, you are the number one Odin of all
you
time.
are number one. Yes, yes,
You are the Odin of all Odins.
that is correct.
All
You
right.
you are the real life Odin.
So we get the example where Loki comes up, and through the plot of the original Thor movie, we realize that Loki realized that he is actually not an Asgard. He actually is a frost giant, and so he finds the cradle, which holds kind of the heart of the frost giants. When he's exposed to it, we realize that instead of him being a very tall Asgardian, he actually is the runt of a bunch of frost giants. So like any great coming home tale, he goes home, finds his people, and decides that, you know what, I don't want to be my father. I want to be better than either of my fathers. And like any good butthurt young Asgardian with the power of mischief and magic, he plots to take over the world and proves, as he proves throughout every time he gets to interact with Thor, he's just flat out smarter
Mhm.
than Thor. So we wound up seeing him really manipulate Thor, where Thor again breaks a truce that Asgard had with the Frost Giants that causes Thor to be hurled to Earth and loses his hammer and his power. Because you know what? If you take away a man's hammer, what really is left?
The
And
ham.
I just wonder, would both Kat Dennings and Natalie Portman been as enthralled with him if he'd have just said, "Ladies, I left my hammer." Because we all know Thor is nothing if he's not putting the hammer down.
The hammer down.
Want me to put the hammer down? Yes.
Stop. It's hammer time.
I had many. That's been a theme at work. That the hammer pants
Right,
rule.
right.
So
Yeah.
for all my coworkers, yes, I know, and no, you will not see the pictures.
So are
Yes,
you saying that you can't touch this?
I am saying I may be too legit to quit.
I think we need a new game. How many '90s references can we pack into an episode of the podcast?
Too much pressure. Too much pressure. By the way, someone's got to know enough '90s references to kind of keep like a clicker going.
Right. So you're under
Yes,
pressure.
absolutely. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, we would not do that. Okay. By the way, I'm here. So it also under pressure, which was ripped off by Vanilla Ice for Ice Ice Baby. So there's
Yeah.
another one. Yes. So we'll keep going there. All right. Yeah. All right. So Loki again. For I don't know about you, Brad. Loki's always been one of my favorite characters
Mhm.
both in the comics and outside because what we see in his personification is he's especially for the gods that the Asgardians and that represent. He's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's not the most handsome. He's not even necessarily the most charming or the nicest. He is the most cunning. So he's the god of mischief, which really means he knows how to get the things done. So we see him at the end of Thor falling through the bridge. It seems that Loki passes away until, like all great MCU movies do, they give us that last end scene where we see Loki on the other side influencing our buddy Eric Selvig and finding it very interesting the Tesseract, which we know eventually is the Space Stone. So next we see our buddy Loki as we fast forward to dun, 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 the Avengers. And what better villain, what better big bad are you going to have in the first Avengers film than Loki? Before they give us Thanos, before they give us the one that remains, before we get to Doctor Doom or Magneto, hopefully, they gave us Loki. They gave us the OG person that we're going to really root for or root against. And in the words of Captain America, there's only one God. He doesn't dress like that. So we get to see our buddy Loki coming in with the staff, which we've learned later on holds the Mind Stone, hanging out with our buddy Thanos and attempting to, again, take over the world as every good megalomaniac does.
Very good. And let's get on to the show because the show was so amazing.
Yes, sir.
Um, Now the show was Owen Wilson was
Yes.
fantastic. He's got a new show comes out pretty soon on Paramount Plus as well. Secret something, I don't know, so like some sort of superhero type thing. But anyway, he's Mobius, Loki's Loki, and several other people are Loki as well.
Yes. More Loki all the time.
And more is better in this case.
Including an alligator.
And Alligator Loki was pretty freaking fantastic. And it pretty much broke the internet.
Yeah. So again, if we go back to pre the show, we get Loki in the original Avengers movie, where again we learn that he is a tiny god. We then next see Loki in Thor 2, where again he appears to die. We then see him reappear in Thor Ragnarok, where again in each of the Thor movies, I feel he steals more and more of the films. Chris Hemsworth, I mean, there's so many great one-liners. Again, Hiddleston does a great job with those excellent writing. He's very quick. Just anytime you got to see Hemsworth, Banner, and Loki, that's kind of all in there together. That moment where he, kind of raises triumphantly to save the Asgardian people. And again, we get Ragnarok, which eventually destroys. Nothing good happens when you put a skull and a crown of a god on an eternal flame. Is this burden any eternal flame. That's the one flaw in that movie. They have so many references to the eternal flame. How do you not just when they're in New York? How do you not have them walk past a karaoke bar and someone is singing the Bangles' "Eternal Flame"? Like,
Right.
how do you not just somehow just give us that little? That's such a great movie.
I
That's
mean,
my only thing. Like, how do you not just have that in there?
because they're all walking like an Egyptian. Duh.
Yes. Oh God. Or maybe. I mean, we're recording on a Wednesday, but a couple of days ago it was Manic Monday.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you have a cameo?
Oh yeah. And apparently she's a cat today.
I heard a yowl. I
Yeah,
hear the
yeah.
yowl. Yes.
Want to talk? We're live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch.
Meow.
Say hi.
Hi.
I love
Just-
how high is getting higher and higher pitch. By the way.
Right. Do you want the headphones for a minute?
No.
No. Okay. All right. What you doing, kiddo?
I want your panda stuff.
Oh, that is probably something you shouldn't say when you're live on the internet. What stuff of your sister's did you go through?
Her coloring book.
Oh, okay. What coloring book?
She had it in one of her drawers in her room. Her old stuff. That's what I went through.
Probably shouldn't go through a lot of the stuff in her drawers. Yeah. All right, kiddo.
It's not a coloring book. I must say.
All right. All right. Well, why don't you say
I
bye?
mean, Princess
Hi.
Princess Leia. That is generally good words to live by. Just don't go through people's drawers.
Yep.
You may see things you never. Yes. I made the mistake of going through my parents' drawers one day because my mom was a teacher and
Mhm.
my dad worked construction. So during the summer, I'll be home, she would be off doing like summer activities, and he'd be working, of course. And I decided, oh, there's this drawer. What is this? And I thought in my 7-year-old brain
Yeah.
that these were like the world's slipperiest water balloons. And I couldn't quite understand that why it was so hard for me to hold and manage the water balloons and
Oh.
to see the look on my mother's face, and she was the first one to come home as me and my friends are outside playing with. I'm like, these are so cool. They come in little packages for us to like for every one of them, and I hope you don't mind. We're playing water balloons, and they. I will tell you, Bradley, these water balloons were sturdy. They didn't break easily. So, again,
That's good.
if we're looking for additional sponsorship, we can talk offline for a company called Rogen. That was really quality material, even back in the early 90s, in the 80s actually. And so when she pulled up, and all the neighbors who are falling over, like with my mom's name is Dot, R.I.P. to my mother.
Mhm.
Dot, yeah, those are great water balloons. And yes. Yeah. Hey, we helped them fill them. I bet you did. So yeah, so again, the joys of the innocence that we had in the 80s. So so Princess Leia, please don't go through anyone else's drawers, okay?
Yeah, that's gonna be a conversation I'm gonna have to have a little later. Be like, yeah, probably let's stick to your own drawers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty much in life.
That's
We talk a lot about staying in our own lanes. Hey, Prevenge of the Nerds, where we teach you to stay in your own drawers.
the more you know.
Okay. All right. So we get past Avengers. We get past the Thor at that point in time trilogy, and then we get to the first of the two final Avengers movie as of right now. We get to Infinity War, where Loki was the first casualty of the Infinity War, and one of the few times that Thanos was proven wrong. He said that Loki would not be resurrected. However, as long as there's a writer in space, these things can happen. And Loki was resurrected, which leads us to the series, a variant of Loki, is brought back and is eventually found by the time cops, the time continuum, while they are there to manage the almighty timeline. And that is where we get the introduction of Loki, Mobius, and so many, many more.
Very, very good. We have some messages out here from the land of Facebook.
Do we?
Yes, we do. All right. So, Darren, yes, you are right. My awesomes has been leveled up. He says Bradley is a god and asks how everybody is. I did just
Wait,
watch this anime.
Bradley's a god?
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm probably kind of a big deal.
What the hell am I?
I mean, you're the other half of our godhood.
No,
man.
no. I don't want you to drag me along to godhood. Wait a minute. No,
We're tag team partners.
No, he didn't say Brad and Brian are gods. He said Brad is a god. So what does that make me? You know what? Fine. You can have your god. So I'll just want to be endless. Okay? Because we're told they are beyond gods. So there. How's that?
Okay, cool. So who has the better beard, though? I mean,
some of us have to compensate for facial hair. Who has the better overall hair? If you want to go there, sir.
Right. Okay. I mean, you're twin brothers with Shamar Moore.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna have the same nipples as Ryan Gosling. So
right.
Yes, all right. Yeah. Okay. Please.
And Will Ferrell once tried to milk you.
Shamar, Will, Ryan, please don't sue me. I'm such a fan. Please. Place Beyond the Pines, one of my favorite movies ever. Please just don't. Black Twitter, Illuminati, just please. Just no. Okay.
Awesome. Also, Eric Gump, brother from the Air Force. How is it going? We're all doing pretty good here. I got a question for you guys. What is your favorite appearance of Loki in the movies or in the show? What about you, Brian?
My favorite appearance of Loki, honestly, is my absolute favorite scene of his. It has to go back to Thor Ragnarok, and it's a scene where they're on Sakaar, and we get the fight scene between Thor and Banner, Thor and Hulk. And when Hulk grabs Thor by the leg and whacks him on the ground multiple times, when a shot-for-shot remake of the way that Hulk slammed Loki, and just to see Loki get so excited and go, "That's how it feels," was just phenomenal.
Right?
Just phenomenal.
Yeah, man. Loki, I think is probably I can't talk. Probably one of the best developed characters in all the MCU so far.
I mean, as a general rule, they do great casting, but his is just fantastic. I mean, just it's perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite episode? What's your favorite Loki, or what's your favorite episode of Loki?
My personal favorite episode of Loki is actually the 6th one, where we get where he is really, so you can't talk about Loki without talking about the best of the variants after the alligator. It was the alligator crocodile after the reptilian Loki.
So do you know how to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile?
I used to know this. I know you were talking about in the show. How do you tell the difference?
One will see you in a while and one will see you later. After a while, or we'll see you later. Yeah.
I'll walk right in.
Don't walk too close into that one. It might hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dad jokes are. I don't know if you're an over dad joke, but I think we're getting there, man. Okay. We're gonna ODJ over dad
80s
jokes.
and 90s reference and dad jokes.
Yes, just wow. All right. So, but I do but you can't talk about the Loki show without talking about Sylvie, the great variant there. And as they pointed out, as Mobius points out greatly, think about the arrogance that the only person Loki can authentically love is himself. But you have that great scene as they are really we've never seen him be the one that is the one talking about sentiment. He uses that phrase a lot in all the movies. Sentiment. He's used that to show weakness, people having weakness, and you see him really having the sentiment of really wanting Sylvie to just stop. knowing that her lust for revenge is going to quite possibly end the universe, put the multiverse in. And this is really the first time we actually delve way before Spider-Man No Way Home, definitely way before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is where we really start getting the discussion of the multiverse. And just to stop, that was probably my favorite episode. But throughout the series, we saw Loki, number one, bring a lot of humor. We saw them as much as you could humanize a god. Him really starting to find himself that he didn't want to be bad, and obviously there's great scenes there also where he is confronted with the death of his mother. Well, Renee
Yeah.
Russo's character in Frigga, and how that also played out as well.
Yeah, man. I love that character so much. I think Tom Hiddleston was the best thing that ever happened to that character.
Mhm.
I mean, even in the comics. Now, have you seen Thor: Love and Thunder yet?
I have yet to see Love and Thunder.
Okay, so there is a really great reference to Loki in the show or in the movie.
Mhm.
It's not really a spoiler. It's a tattoo that Thor has on his back. So,
Oh, okay.
yep. I want to give another shout out to Brian Thorpe, sir. Welcome to the pandemic.
And did you notice that Loki, among his other garb, he is truly the god of horns?
Yeah. All right, Brian. All right, buddy. So what else about Loki did you want to talk about?
Well, my question is, and we've got some folks listening in, is where do you see the character going next? So again, we've seen the character arc of, first he is really kind of that petulant sport, manipulative character in the first Thor, and then between Avengers and Thor and the Thor Dark World, we see him really kind of the villain. We see a little bit of humanizing him when we get to Ragnarok. We see obviously his at least initial. I mean, he dies multiple times, but the closest to an actual true death, to steal something from True Blood, in Infinity War, and then we see him brought back with the things that have at least a variant in Endgame, and then we see him actually fall in love in the series. So now, similar to, there's a few characters that are like this, like with the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp and the and Quantumania, and he who remains, aka Kang the Conqueror. What happens with Loki next, in your opinion, sir?
I think he's gonna come back to the MCU. I think it's gonna happen through Kang, and I think that it'll probably be during either Secret Wars or King Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I have my theories, but that I think we talked about it on the podcast already. I mean, we talked about what the King Dynasty equivalent was in the comics and
Sure.
how it could kind of work into Secret Wars as well. And I think Secret Wars is going to be multiple parts. I think it's going to be at least
Yes.
two to
Yes.
3 parts, I think. And then once that's going to be done, we'll go back to our 616.
All right.
But yeah, I think they're working on bringing him back. And he's he's an anti-hero. And I mean, one of the best characters has come out of the MCU. So Thor can't do everything. I would really love to see a Thor and Loki reunion in some way.
Well, we do know that Loki is our favorite Disney princess.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
Yeah.
secondly, is when rating witches in the MCU. So you have Agatha Harkness,
Mhm.
you have the Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff, and obviously, as Thor told us in Thor Ragnarok, he does dress like a witch. Who is your favorite witch? Loki, Agatha, or Wanda Maximoff?
Wanda Maximoff, man, I really wish she would have said 3 words in in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and that was no more mutants.
So close. So close. If they had done that, if they'd have done it just probably a year or two from now, she probably could have done the line.
Yeah.
Which again, I obviously don't buy that Elizabeth Olsen has done I think she at least a version.
Mhm.
Maybe we get the 838 version, which I mean, there's definitely space for that. I don't believe she's actually gone. And again, don't forget, somewhere around there, we've got Paul Bettany as a lost amnesiac albino again. That's kind of his brand, right?
Right?
Uh, just kind of. By the way, how do you not find like a 6'4" pure white android that's flying through the sky? Like, how has no one seen him?
I mean, he comes and goes in phases.
Okay, who is your favorite albino with superpowers? Is it Vision or Powder?
Ooh. Powder was a great movie.
Powder was a great movie.
And Sean Patrick Flannery was
Yes.
amazing in that. But Vision.
I think Billy Corgan should get a sued for stealing his likeness.
I mean, it's bad again. Oh, I had something there. Maybe some Shara Brock or something. I don't know.
Powder may not have been a smashing pumpkin, but he was a sizzling one. So
Oh, today is the greatest. Oh boy.
So in the scene in Powder, again, last tangent, probably not. When the lightning hits him, would you have called that a flashpoint?
Yes, I absolutely would call it a flashpoint. Yes, sir. Guy gives us a little bit of love to POL. Thank you, Brian Thorpe, buddy. We were in POL together out at Fairchild Air Force Base, and so Air Force, Chair Force, all of the above. Air Force.
Maybe that should be the name of if Professor X is an offshoot of his own team, Chair Force.
Dude, I like that. So, what do you think of? Why can't I say his name? Genio.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Thank you. I can't say those words.
Yeah.
I have tried so many times.
I practice offline. I practice. It's okay.
So, do you?
Chiwetel Ejiofor. Okay, I practice these names. Okay.
Yeah, I can't say that word either. So I would prefer him as either Xavier or Dr. Doom.
I will see him more as Doom just by the fact that we've already had it. Okay, so again, we're going to get back to some other things, but so casting Giancarlo Esposito makes sense for another reason, time and age, okay?
Mm-hmm.
None of us want to imagine a world where Professor X or Captain Picard has left us. But, unfortunately, things happen. Unfortunately, unlike comics, people do have an expiration date.
Right.
And at this point, we're looking at probably, a man is in his 80s at this point, definitely late 70s, quite possibly in their 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, he at this point, it really is the age of Xavier and Logan. So it would be, you have to figure out what you're going to do, because he is such an iconic character that you got to figure out what you're going to do. And unlike Men in Black 3, you can't just necessarily cast Josh Brolin's. So even though Josh Brolin's can do all the things,
right.
Giancarlo, I think, would be a great one, because they've never established the X-Men in the 616 universe.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Start off here. There will be those folks that will be haters because he is African American, as he's African American and Latino. So there will be some individuals that will not like that push, because he does look different than the quote unquote the source material. So I'm sure we will get some "Not My Professor X."
Right.
Again, for anyone that prefers Jason Momoa as Aquaman, stop it with the "Not My Whatever."
Yeah.
Okay. But I think he's got that really great gravitas in his voice. I think he could look at him in The Boys. I mean, and Better Call Saul. I think he'd be a great fit.
Yeah, I mean,
but I again personally, sorry, I lost my point on that. If the choice is Doom or X or Professor Xavier, I would like to see him as Dr. Doom, preferably. But I would definitely not be mad if he was Professor X.
Yeah, I go for Professor Xavier as well. I remember reading somewhere that had a fan casting as Henry Cavill as Dr. Doom, and I'm all for that. I am for that as well. But I think with the gender swapping, race swapping, stuff like that,
Hmm.
I think that it's easier for Xavier than it would be for Magneto
Yeah.
because Magneto is
He needs
Jewish,
to be. Yeah, they need to.
right?
Yeah, the concentration. Yeah, so much of that is part of that background. I mean, my guess is they will find a great Jewish actor to
Mhm.
play Eric Lensher. And again, AKA Wanda's baby, Wanda's real daddy.
Yeah.
Um, I think, but yeah, I think that we get that, and hopefully, fingers crossed. Now this is back in the hands of the MCU. They will give
Mhm.
us a very succinct Doctor Doom
Mhm.
origin story. I wanted
Oh
the good
God.
looking guy who's upset, who puts on that red hot mask, burns
Yeah,
his face, and here I am. And Sue Storm, I'm coming for you. Like
dude,
that's yes, yes.
Doctor Doom is the probably one of the greatest villains anywhere. I mean, like, man, you could do so much with just Doctor Doom alone.
Hmm.
Oh, it makes me happy that they're actually that I think we're actually going to get a Doctor Doom in the MCU.
Which in turn makes Reed Richards the biggest punk in comics. Like this dude, like okay, again, this is getting a little far afield here. But Doctor Doom, again, if you don't read the comics or aren't familiar with the actual true dynamic within the Fantastic Four world, Doctor Doom makes no bones about he's after Sue Storm.
Oh yeah, yeah,
To the point that Doctor Doom gets Sue Storm, Reed Richards' daughter, named Valeria because he's the only one that can deliver their daughter. And I want you to know every day, Reed, that your daughter is named after basically my home. And
yeah.
so I think that is again, and Reed just kind of goes with it like, okay, you
Right.
know,
I'm
uh,
just a nerd. I'm just a geek
yeah,
that can stretch.
yeah.
That
Which again, on honeymoon, that had to be interesting.
at least a
That
few times.
That had to be interesting.
uh,
Yeah, Bob. Never mind. Well, this has been the offline one. No, because I heard something this morning that was like, wait, what? Of a, I heard the most. I'm trying to think of where I heard it from, but oh, it was actually a quote from an old episode of the Big Bang Theory
mhm.
regarding the Incredibles, which I go, that's a good point, but that's an offline conversation.
Cool.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Next up, sir.
Well, let's go ahead and put a pin in our Marvel discussion with Loki and all that, and let's move on to let's talk about the merger. Let's talk about DC now being owned by Discovery Plus. And how do you think that went? I mean, they canceled Batgirl, I'm
Hmm.
guessing for a tax write-off.
Yep.
So hey, even though it was 90% done, there was a bunch of stuff in production. Some of it I really hope makes it. Now, do you agree with like, okay, Batgirl's a crap movie, let's just get rid of it, or
Yeah.
do you think it was worth fixing?
It's so hard to fix. It
Mhm.
really is because when you get into reshoots and people have gotten all set and they get into different projects and you're trying to get things done and test audiences and I mean, I always go back to they reshot a lot of like GI Joe Retaliation and they've tried to fix movies like that before. It just does not work. I much rather them because we keep referencing Fantastic Four films, right? That if you know the project isn't right and you can get a tax write-off. So because
Yeah.
all these companies have to again be in the black at some level, if you can do it
Mhm.
as a tax write-off and maybe begin again in a few years, I'm more okay with that. I'd much rather have because Batgirl is not the most prominent character. So if you're gonna do a movie, like do it right and
Yeah.
not do it, give us a good quality film or something where it's going to be good. So I'm okay with stopping bad projects. I really am.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really hope we get Black, or we get oh, well, we know we're going to get Black Adam. I mean, that's got the
Yes.
the biggest actor in the world. Is
Figuratively and literally. Yes.
right. Yeah, there's no stopping that. I mean, they're pushing back Shazam. They're going to do some reshoots in Shazam to make it
Hmm.
fit into their new universe. Ezra Miller's kind of screwing everything up for him with the Flash,
Ezra, goodness.
and
Yes.
just man, all they need to do. He goes into the Speed Force. He comes back out Wally West.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Nobody's gonna complain.
Yes.
Everybody wants Wally
Yes.
West. You know,
Yes. Look.
KP Appa, the guy
Yeah.
from Riverdale, dude.
Yes.
You got the red hair. Come be Wally West. Come be Wally West.
You know, and someone needs to tell Ezra Miller, you can't ruin both a Harry Potter franchise and a Justice League franchise. Stop
Yeah.
it. You've
Right.
done enough damage.
Right,
You
and
know.
Warner Brothers is just in that spot. Like, well, how many millions of dollars do we have sunk into this movie? It's gonna have
Yes.
to come out. You
Well,
know, I
it's
mean,
such a
like,
seminal thing of so many of their projects. You know, again, DC has tried to kind of follow the Marvel,
yeah,
and again, this shows that just because someone can do it doesn't mean everyone can do it.
right.
And you know, with the Russo brothers, so many of the great directors, and just the amount of time and Kevin Feige and that whole team of really doing again a lot of
Mhm,
thoughtful planning, keep it again the phases,
mhm.
which we kind of say kind of tell, oh, phase 5, phase 6, but they really think very purposely about when movies and when characters come out, and we
Yeah,
and really work to whet our appetites. Like, oh, when's Kingpin gonna show? When's Doctor Doom gonna
yeah.
show? All these things, versus Warner Brothers kind of keeps throwing stuff out there. DC keeps throwing stuff out there, and most of the time it's not sticking.
Hmm.
And the things that have been really more apart from that world, like the Joker movie, like
Hmm.
Sandman, series, have actually done better than really thing they really tried to lean in. Wonder Woman 84 was just,
So many
again,
bad choices.
so many bad choices. The only good choice in there was Linda Carter at the end. Like,
Yeah,
that's the only good thing they did. Yeah.
yeah, man. And there's some things that I think that you can do. I mean, I think that you can have Black Adam show up in Shazam, or have Shazam show up in Black Adam,
Yes.
and have Black Adam kind of take Shazam under his wing and even
Yes.
him out from the anti-hero, you know, and do that. And then you're going to get your Black Adam, you're going to get your Shazam together.
Right.
I mean, you can't go too far without The Rock, Black Adam meeting Henry Cavill's
Right.
Superman. I mean,
Right.
you can't, or
But
a Superman in some way.
But I think at this point, so if I'm going to put myself as the head of production of DC, and I think
Mhm.
what they haven't, I think this was the goal. I think this was the original plan with the Ben Affleck Batman, was to make that character the Samuel but we have not done this in a little bit. Samuel Jackson, but the L stands for, you
Right.
know. So they really want to use the Affleck Batman as the Nick Fury kind of linchpin that everything kind of revolves around. That didn't work out.
Mhm,
And again, Robert Pattinson, I got to give you credit, not
mhm.
that bad. But the more I've been thinking about this, they can do this with another character they really haven't done a whole lot with yet, which is, why not have the central character, instead of being like Nick Fury and actually in the movies and interacting, kind of like what they did with What If with the MCU and the Observer.
Mhm.
Why not use the Spectre as that type of character? You
That'd be
know,
awesome. That'd be
he you
awesome.
know he observes, he moves from world to world, reality to reality, space to space, time to time, and almost like, because they've already really hedged their bets that
Mm,
we're gonna see the big payoff with Dark Side, right?
mhm.
So he maybe is moving the piece around the chessboard of preparing them for the invasion with Dark Side. So, maybe you have them focus on, there's, the heroes can be found in other places, and that brings in the Green Lantern Corps. Heroes can be
Yeah.
found at other times. That brings in the JSA, all these things, I think that would be, and they're not so far along that they're unable to do that. I mean, they could totally do that. They could, they have not introduced Hal Jordan, at least in this
Mhm.
universe yet. So, you can go ahead and do the which, if you're going to do the spec, that's the only version you should do.
Right.
And they could do a real quick, since you got to talk about Ezra Miller and all that stuff, even maybe do some revamping with the Flash, like I said, with Wally
Right.
West, like, oh, where's my friend Hal, or
Mhm.
just, even if they got to rewrite Hal Jordan, that's one character, give us John Stewart. Do not give us Guy Gardner.
Yeah, I mean, or Kyle Rayner. I mean, Kyle Rayner,
I'm
John
sorry. I'm
Stewart.
sorry. I forgot who I was talking to. Yes, give us Kyle Rayner. Yes, fine. You
uh,
know,
I agree. And all they have to do is Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, like,
yes,
let it build a Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean,
yes.
you tell all the stories.
I'll tell you what. I'll be okay if they give us Kyle Rayner before they give us John Stewart on one condition: they somehow resurrect Bob Ross and have him play Kyle Rayner.
So there's a chance.
Could you imagine just the time he would spend us in the air? And we're gonna do some trees, and you know what? Leaves always make me happy. While the villains while Captain Cole is like,
What?
while Sinestro is like, I'm killing people, right?
Right. And,
Like,
and here's Kyle with this ring and painting in the air
yes,
after on the
yeah.
I
Well,
love
okay.
it. I
And
love it.
his magic pouch that has again why we don't go through other people's drawers. His pouch just like 1 moment. And it's a good thing. Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
have the DO double G just walking around like, man, I just think then that gives us room to draw Snoopy. I'm sorry. Now again, that's why DC do not let Brian Dennis take you down too far of a path. But in all seriousness, just we honestly think about how long this DC
Mhm.
universe, the DC cinematic universe has been
Mhm.
around.
Mhm.
Think about we've only gotten really a handful of movies.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten Batman versus Superman, Batman won.
Mhm.
We got the Justice League movie, or Dawn of Justice.
Mhm.
One good Wonder Woman movie, one whatever 84 was.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Mhm.
That's really it, right? Am I missing anything?
Aquaman.
Oh, and Aquaman. So
Yeah.
you really in that you have Shazam, Aquaman, and the first Wonder Woman, which were good movies.
Mhm.
Different levels, but
Well, you got Man of Steel as well. Man of Steel was a good movie.
it was all right. You know
I
how I
mean,
feel about the star
I
of
know,
that.
I
Yes,
know, I
yes.
know. And Superman is just a difficult character.
He should not be in I mean, you should build, and again, this is
Mhm.
two fans, rewriting things, and what you want to get people in the seats, and
Mhm.
Superman does move the needle, people going in there. But I've always felt Superman should be that character that you build to introducing further along.
Yeah.
Like you could have Clark.
Mhm.
I think you could have Clark Kent in the movies. You could have him as a reporter covering stories. You
Yeah.
could have like, oh wow, there's a bomb. What are we gonna do? And all of a sudden the bomb's gone and thrown into the air and it explodes. You could have him really on the periphery because that's what I feel like Clark Kent would do.
Yeah.
Like, Superman himself is really a really big target. So we
Mhm.
only get full on Superman when there's no other way. But Clark has the ability to, again, he's a reporter, he's mild mannered, to really be like out of the attention. So he would do things, very subtly until finally there really is the invasion by Apocalypse. And
Mhm.
you've got Darkseid and the Parademons. And now we need that truly that last son of Krypton to show up. And then you just like they built to Chris Evans saying the line
Mhm.
in Endgame, right? They hinted about it, and they're all the Avengers, and then they cut the scene and all these things that finally, they gave. Think about how long they made us wait to see, and will we see Cap pick up Mjolnir? They gave us the hints, like
Yeah.
in Ultron, like he wiggled it on the table. We finally see him doing Thor going, "I knew it," and then finally when they all go there, I don't know about you, the first weekend it was out, I saw it twice in the same day.
Mhm.
When he finally yells, Avengers, and Evans just that grunt with the shield shattered, but he's got the hammer assemble, and I mean, people in the theaters went nuts
Right?
because we had waited literally a decade for him
Mhm.
for that one seminal line. That's what we need. Think about it. If they redid this and it was slow and we get 3 or 4 years and 7 or 8 movies out of this, and then finally, can you imagine all is lost and what you see is this flowing cape casting a shadow and someone goes up in the sky and
It's
that's
a
it.
bird. It's a
and
bird.
you literally see him dropping
Yeah.
into the shot, blocking out the sun. They do the up close of the symbol, and there's Superman.
Yeah. I would.
That,
I love that. That's
that's a
Superman done
reveal.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think I have that much faith in there. But again, like Superman should not be part of the Justice League.
No.
Superman and Batman have their own thing.
Yes.
They're only in there for name recognition, and that's
Yes.
one of the things I'm really looking forward to about the Justice Society
Hmm.
and Black Adam. I mean, being ran pretty much by Dr. Fate. I mean, that's
Yep.
pretty awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
we got
I mean,
Hawkman, and dude,
yeah.
that Hawkman looks
That looks baller, right?
ooh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, those two, you only hit that bat signal, when it's that last, that's DEFCON 1, right? We
Mhm.
only hit that bat signal. We got to do it. And that's, again, when you build it to, and again, you could do, again, a step down. As much as I love me some Batman, the reality,
Right.
Batman would be that character you'll bring, like, okay, now we've got the big gun. And then just imagine, I hate to say Batman failing,
Mhm.
but even at this point, like, even now Batman's out of ideas. What is left? That's when you bring in Superman.
Right.
That's when you bring in Superman.
I love that. I think that's definitely what they should do. So DC, if you're listening,
And we know
That's
you
a-
are.
now, Brian, who do you think should helm the DC? Who should be DC's Kevin Feige? Oh my! I can't talk today, Brad. No,
It's
talk
okay.
good.
No talk
Feige.
good.
Feige?
Yeah.
I can't-
I think it's Feige. Okay, you're not gonna. Okay, so I would honestly, if I could, I would put it in the hands of James Gunn as much as possible.
I concur.
I mean, come on now. I liked Peacemaker more than I liked the Suicide Squad, but I still like the Suicide Squad. I've really enjoyed. I actually, for entertainment value, actually think that the Guardians movies are more. They're more fun than the Avengers. They're different styles.
They're rewatchable.
Yeah, they're absolutely rewatchable. They're not 3 hours long. They don't have to be. By the way, the Groot shorts dropped today. So if you're looking for something cool to watch just with some younger kiddos, the Groot short, the I Am Groot shorts dropped on Disney Plus.
Oh, nice! I gotta check those out.
So I think it's 6 of them currently. But yeah, I would turn it over to someone like James Gunn. He's gonna immerse himself into the source material. He's gonna have a baller soundtrack. He knows how to do movies where you have multiple stars. He knows how to have a scene where one person leaves and others fall back. There's definitely those parts in the Guardians movie where we see it really being Star-Lord, but then Gamora gets her time, Drax gets his time, Groot gets his time. We saw that with even the Suicide Squad. We saw some turns in that between Flag and Peacemaker. So I would, if he's interested, and again, that's a lot to manage, but someone like him, I'm sure he is deeply entrenched in DC, in Disney Plus and MCU.
Mhm.
But you could get Jon Favreau, at this point, we know you're all Mandalorian all the time.
Yeah.
But could we steal you to at least write, maybe not direct, but write a couple of our films for us?
Yeah.
To do a couple screenplays, we will really appreciate it. And I don't think the two studios have no compete clause. It's not often, but
Mhm.
again, you do see a few folks jumping around like James Gunn that do things for one franchise, for things from in both studios. So if it's possible to kind of do a little bit for either one, again, James Gunn or Jon Favreau would be where I would aim.
Nice. So, do you think that Discovery Plus should sell off DC to like Amazon or Apple or somewhere like that, or do you think they should keep it? Man, that guy Zaslow, he said some pretty crappy things.
Yeah, I would totally.
Oh, buddy.
Given the mega corporation, they actually have the dollars for it. I
Mhm.
would give it over to Amazon. 'Cause I think Bezos and his crew, they don't make movies, but they bring in people that can make good products.
Right.
And there's just, again, Amazon is really, and as much. I mean, I'm looking over my Alexa right now. Amazon is in a lot of people's. I mean,
Mhm.
you get this great marketing
Mhm.
You could push things out. I think
Yeah.
if you did some type of thing with Amazon, and also, I know we had things on, HBO Max and things, but if you could get things moved over, to like platforms like Prime, I think that also just helps really entrench that. But they've got to, and I know I'm kind of meandering on my thing.
Mhm.
They have to come with a vision of what the DC cinematic universe and all of those things are going to be. You are not going. I've said this before. You are not going to win Halloween with the DCU. You're not,
No.
because Marvel owns Halloween. Okay, Marvel owns kids' costumes, and everybody wants to be Iron Man. Everybody wants to be Black Panther. R.I.P. to both characters. R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman.
Mhm.
People want to be kids again. These are not even their strongest characters. Kids want to dress up like Doctor Strange and Wong and America Chavez and do all of these things. I can't wait to see all the little kids run around as Miss Marvel here in a few
Yeah.
months. I think they know how to do that. So make your shows for us, for guys that are north of 30,
Mhm.
that hopefully have a little disposable income. You make it for teenagers, not for little kids. You don't. And by the way, that does not mean you got to blow everything up and everything got in a four. Batman does not have to be the Punisher.
Right. And Michael Bay, you do not have to you do not have to make all the movies.
Yeah, and this, again, I should not look at Batman and think, "Oh yeah, this is Transformers 12." Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, so, but I think if you made things for teenagers, and up, I think if you, just go like this is heroes don't always win
Mhm.
in the DCU and all these sorts of things. I think that is where you win that, because you've already got the name recognition with those three characters in Superman, Wonder
Mhm.
Woman, and Batman. You've got the Justice League, which most of us, honestly, our age, we grew up with the Justice League on television. That
Mhm.
was way more prominent.
Mhm.
Just think about it. Super Friends, and thing like that. That was a good cartoon show. The Avengers cartoon shows have always been pretty bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I've said this before, DCU does really good animated products.
Yeah.
Marvel does not. For the most
Mhm.
part, Marvel animated stuff is not nearly as good as Disney. As DC.
Mhm.
So do that.
Mhm.
That's what you got to do, and then do whatever distribution deals you need to get it in front of people. But they got to figure out what the movies and what any offshoot television shows are going to be.
All right, so we are rounding up here, but one last question for you, sir. What character do you think should come into the DCU? Like
Hmm.
after we got Black Adam, and I think I kind of know where you're gonna go here, buddy. But what do you think?
Hmm. Let me think about that for a little bit. Which character would I like to see brought into the DC universe that they've not kind of really got going on?
Mhm.
Uh, well, you already know I feel Mr. Terrific, and
Yeah.
we've got that with you got to have that some of that with JSA. Um, you know what? I think we already. The more I think about it, I think what they should honestly do is, just as much as they build to hopefully a Superman. Could you imagine again? Here I'm gonna Pre-Venge a big movie where it is Darkseid versus the heroes of the DCU. And let's say this is probably going into their phase 3 or whatever, because they do it right, they should build to this. And you know, Dark Side goes, whoever again that not Dark Side, yeah, Dark Side. Dark Side is going, I've laid to ash your cities. I've destroyed your heroes, your icons, your gods. What is left? And could you imagine, around his feet, the dirt begins to swirl, and the black dirt becomes lighter colored. And you realize maybe it's not dirt, but maybe it's sand. And out of this very, almost again, you get some Cure music, and then what is more powerful than a god? Dreams. Think about how baller that would be.
That would be
Our
awesome.
boy Morpheus there, or even they did it right. And again, this goes back to something we talked about.
Mhm.
Instead of being Morpheus, because this plays what I was telling you we were off recording. If we get Daniel, that is, because again, there's some connection there when we talk about his parentage, which I promise you, folks, that will be a future show.
Yeah.
Um, but if you had Daniel of the Endless really be there, because what if and that is how you really that's your you really triumphant moment where you've got, oh wow, that is where those things came from, and you don't touch it up until that point. You
Mhm.
let Daniel and Dream and the Endless live on Netflix in that world. But again, you have little spoilers here and there, well, not so little hints here and there, and you pull the trigger in the movie. You pull the trigger in the movie.
I love it. I would absolutely love to see. I'm going to surprise you here. Miracle Man.
I think we'll get that. I think we will totally get that.
I do too.
If you're gonna give us Dark Side, you got to give us Miracle Man. You got to give us
Ryan.
yeah, you got to give us Big Barda. By
Yup.
the way, R.I.P. But
Brandy.
could you imagine had she not again R.I.P. to Joni Lower? Could you imagine China with a
Yeah.
Y as Big Barda?
Oh, that'd been awesome.
And we know she's not real popular now, but since Gina Carano is no longer going to be part of the Mandalorian,
Who knows?
maybe there's a place to kind of rehab her as Big Barda.
I mean, I'd buy that. I like that casting. I really
Yeah.
do. All right, Brian, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. We
Yes,
had some
sir.
great conversations. Let's give some special thanks to one Stacey Jones for leveling up her awesome. And if you want to level up your awesome, you can also go to Amazon and buy my children's book, Leveling Up My Awesome.
Shameless plug.
Yep. All right. And so Brian, where can we get a hold of you greatness?
All right, sir. Before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to again our fan Odin, who asked us to talk a little bit about Loki. Odin, hopefully we did justice. And for anyone that likes how me and Brad go on our tangents, wants to hear us just discuss something, we love getting requests from our fans, from our listeners. So Odin, thank you very, very much for listening. And again, leveling up your awesome, helping us level up our awesome. But you can find me. You can find me on Facebook at Brian Stephen Dennis. Again, give me a like, give me a follow. All the stuff that I kind of go on my tangents here, I'm going to do that. Plus, I usually give you at least one good Winnie the Pooh meme a week. So hop on that. I will probably be the earliest poster of your day because I normally start posting around 1 a.m. because your boy is up. All right. So, yes, sir. So please find me on Facebook. Give me a friend. Give me a like, give me a follow, and we'll go from there, folks. We'll always keep it fun and light.
Perfect. All right. So you can tweet at me at Fandemic3, message me on Facebook at The Fandemic, now active on TikTok at Fandemic1. You can hear my reviews and so much more. And I've been lacking in that department lately. I did get a whole bunch of comics that I plan on doing. I got Batman or Flashpoint Beyond Flashpoint. Number 4 or 6 just came out. I got some new stuff. Have you ever heard of so I got Death Rage?
I've not heard of Death. Wait,
Yeah.
I got that lettering looks real familiar, but I'm not familiar. I don't think so.
It's from Merc Comics, so I'm super looking forward to. I
Merc
love
is in Mercenary.
Yep.
Okay.
Never heard of that at all, but I'm definitely can't wait to get into it, read it, and check it out, and do a review on it. And then there is a mini series of DC versus vampires, All Out War, and it's got cool Deathstroke, Deadman, Bane. If you got Mary Marvel, and
Yes.
you also got Azrael hanging out there, John. Oh, and look at that Booster Gold, looks freaking awesome. So. And then I've been lacking on comics lately, so I'm gonna get into it tomorrow. Other than that, if you want to support the show, there are several ways to do so. You can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefandemic. And come on the show and hang out with us. We're good people. Go to anchor.fm PVOT or /PVOTN and become a subscriber. Go to PayPal or Venmo if you just want to flip me a couple of bucks, and I'll put it back into everything here that you see. Or you know what? Just share the show that someone you want to make a little more awesome. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review. And also, don't forget to go buy my book, Level Up My Awesome. It's a fun journey. It's just about staying positive and becoming positive and having all that fun stuff. It's only 26 pages long. It's good. It's good, clean fun. And there might be a misspelled word in there as well.
And if you can find a misspelled word, you win nothing, but you will have the honor of saying you found the misspelled word.
Oh, my wife found the misspelled word. Yeah. She, I got it fixed. So, yeah. So who knows? I'm not the world's greatest speller, but Brian.
Yes, sir.
I think we are at max levels of awesome.
We have peaked, sir.
So let's end the week like we do on a positive note. What do you got? What are your words of wisdom?
Well, as always, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in, leveling up your awesome with myself and my partner, my team partner, Mr. Bradley. He brings the love, I bring the thunder. And as always, remember, no retreat, no surrender, and Goonies, never say die.
We're all playing the same game in life, just on a different level. Thanks for catching up. You're welcome for leveling up your awesomeness. Live free or die empty. Have a great day.
Get your earphones in, everybody, and everybody hear us out. We are Brad Butin and Brian Dennis, and this is PVOTN. We've got my dad leveling up your awesomeness, dropping knowledge of TV, movies, and comics. We've got Brian Dennis flexing his nerd muscles. How you level up your awesomeness? He will solve the puzzle. Just when you thought you've heard it all, a new episode will come along. Won't you like, subscribe, and rate our show? One last thing. Leave a 5-star review before you go. Oh yeah!